So in this lesson, we're going to focus again on solving multi-step equations. Remember that you sometimes have to simplify equations before you can solve them. In section 1, we focused on variables on the same side of the equal sign. This time, we're going to focus on variables that are on both sides of the equal sign. So take a look at example 4. We draw our line down our equal sign, and we ask ourselves, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any like terms? Yes. So we have a negative 2x and we have a positive 4x. Are they on the same side of the equal sign or opposite sides of the equal sign? They are on opposite sides. So what you need to know is if variables are on the same side, you combine, which is what we did in section 1. But in this case, when we have variables on opposite sides, we need to do the inverse. So what that looks like is I need to move either the 2x over or the 4x over. I like to keep my variables on the left side, so I'm going to go ahead and move this 4x. In order to move it to the other side, I need to do the inverse. Since it is currently a positive 4x, I'm going to be subtracting 4x. What I do to one side, I'm also going to do to the other side. And now I'm going to simplify what I have. Negative 2x minus 4x is negative 6x. Drop down my positive 15 equals, well, this term is now canceled because we applied the inverse. And we drop down our 39. So again, if variables are on the same side, we combine them together. If variables are on opposite sides, we do the inverse. Same side combine, opposite sides inverse. Go ahead and solve the rest of this problem. First, we're going to subtract 15 on both sides. Negative 6x equals positive 24. We're going to divide both sides by negative 6. And we're going to get x equals a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And that is our final answer. Quick to check my work. By plugging in negative 4 everywhere I had an x in the original equation, I solve and I get 23 equals 23, which means I have a true statement and my answer of negative 4 is correct. What do you think is going to be our first step in this problem? This might be a little bit tricky, but we're going to do our line down the equal sign. And I'm actually going to look at the problem as two separate sides. So first, looking at the left. Is there any parentheses? No. Are there any like terms on the left? No. So now I'm going to look at the right. Are there any parentheses? No. Are there any like terms? Yes. I have a 10x and a negative 4x. Notice how they are on the same side. When we have same side, we combine. So I'm going to get 10x minus 4x, which is going to make 6x. And I'm going to go ahead and drop everything else down. So now I'm going to do the simplify check again. I still don't have any parentheses or like terms on my left side. I don't have any parentheses or like terms on my right side. So I'm going to look at the entire problem. I have like terms that are on opposite sides. And when you have opposite sides, we're going to do the inverse. Same side combine, opposite side inverse. So in order to get these on the same side, I have to do the inverse of one of these like terms. I like to keep my variable on the left, so I'm going to do the inverse of positive 6x, which is minus 6x. I'm going to do it on both sides to keep my equation balanced. 13x minus 6x is going to give us 7x. And I'm going to drop everything else down. This cancels, so we just have our 37. Go ahead and solve the rest of the problem. we're first going to add 5 to both sides. 7x equals 42. We're then going to divide both sides by 7 to get our final answer of x equals 6. Now, you don't have to check your work after every problem, but definitely if you're working on something like a test, it's really nice to remind yourself that you can actually check whether your answer is correct. By plugging in 6 everywhere we have an x, we can evaluate our math. We get a true statement of 73 equals 73, so we know 6 is a correct answer. Try problem number 6. So we're going to do our check again, looking just at the left side. Are there any parentheses? Yes. So that means we're going to distribute. Negative 7x. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. Now we're going to do the check on the right side of the equation. Are there any parentheses? Yes. So we're going to go ahead and distribute. We get negative 5x. A negative 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25. We do a check again to see if anything can be simplified. Are there any like terms on the left? Are there any like terms on the right? And when we know that there's no like terms on either side, we look at the whole problem. Are there like terms on both sides? Yes. We have a negative 7x on the left and a negative 5x on the right. Remember, when they are on opposite sides, we are going to do the inverse. Same side combine, opposite side inverse. So I like to move things to the left, so I'm going to do the inverse of negative 5x, which is adding 5x. That's going to give me negative 2x plus 7 equals, and I get 25. Finish solving the problem from here. Minus 7 on both sides. We get negative 2x equals, here we're going to get 18. Divide both sides by negative 2, and we get x equals negative 9. If we want to go ahead and check our work, by plugging in negative 9 everywhere we have an x, we do some math. We get 70 equals 70, which is true, so we know negative 9 is a correct answer. As a challenge problem, I want you to think back to that example we had at the very beginning of the first section of this lesson. Try your best to see if you can come up with the answer to this problem. So if we go ahead and evaluate this problem, line down the equal sign, I first check my left side to simplify. Are there any parentheses? We're going to distribute this negative 3, negative 12x minus 15, drop down the positive 2x out front. We're also going to simplify the right side that has a parentheses. Notice how the sign goes with the 8. So we're going to drop down our negative 2. We're going to get negative 8x minus 56. Our next check is for like terms on the same side. So looking at the left, we have 2x and negative 12x that are like terms. Same side combine, 2x minus 12x is negative 10x minus 15 equals, we're going to do the same thing to the right side. Are there any like terms? Notice how it's not the x's, but we actually have like constants. Negative 2 minus 56 is negative 58 minus 8x. Now we check if there's any more simplifying. Do we have like terms on opposite sides? Yes. We have a negative 10x and a negative 8x. Same side combine, opposite side inverse. So we are going to add 8x to the left side and the right side. That's going to give us negative 2x minus 15 equals negative 58. Notice again, we have a problem that we know how to solve from here. Plus 15 plus 15. Negative 2x equals negative 43. Divide both sides by negative 2. We get x equals, a negative and a negative are going to make a positive. 43 divided by 2 actually comes out to be a decimal, but that's totally okay because sometimes numbers don't always have to come out as perfect whole numbers. So our answer is x equals 21.5. Again, this problem looked really confusing at the beginning, but you know how to simplify and solve to get to that answer. Complete the practice problems for this section of the lesson to check your understanding. Thank you so much for being awesome.